team members. Today we have Mr. Kapil Gupta. He is the founder of Solh, and he brings to us this wonderful workshop on mental health for working women specifically. And I'm really looking forward to you. Welcome, and over to you, please.
Thank you so much for that, Damayanti. And it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be talking to all of you working, accomplished women. We are going to try and talk today about your mental health. Okay, let me actually jump right in. Are we ready to begin, Damayanti, or should we wait a couple more minutes for people to join? Okay, so let me begin. Let me share my screen.
Yeah. So people who have joined it, I don't want to keep them waiting.
Sure. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Perfect. So, let me first start by asking the
Yes, sir.
Great. So let me first start by asking the basic question that everybody keeps asking around mental health. Do people really want to work on their mental health? And, I'm sorry, I will appreciate if we can actually, turn our mutes off and every once in a while respond to the questions, because I think that will add a lot more gravitas to the entire discussion. So do people really want to work on their mental health? There is a perception all across that nobody does. So, Damayanti, you want to be the first one to jump in?
Okay. So, the question is, do we really want to?
Do people like to work on their mental health?
So, I believe there's a lot of baggage to mental health, the word mental health. So, even if somebody wants to, the inertia is too deep and too strong to, sort of move ahead of it. A lot of times also, considering the Indian system, we have always been used to the fact that अच्छा कुछ हुआ है, अच्छा ठीक है, हो जाएगा, ठीक हो जाएगा. ये कुछ ऐसी कुछ बात नहीं है. So that kind of mentality is also very deeply rooted into our systems, specifically women. So
Absolutely.
maybe even if we want to, we are not able to, and after a point of time, after so many declining from our own end, it sort of goes away, I guess. But yeah,
Sure.
people are aware. I mean, a lot of us are very aware, and we really want to work towards it. Yes.
Sure. That's the usual response that I get from everyone. Yeah, we want to, we think there is importance into it, but then there is a lot of inertia, there is a lot of stigma, there is a lot of taboo, and who has the time? Now, let me turn this around a little bit, which is one of the key reasons why I personally got into mental health. If you think about your life, okay, and let me ask everyone on here a question. If you think about your life, if you think about everything that you do in your life, outside of a few basic hours of your work, and maybe a few chores that you dislike, isn't it that you are working on your mental health all your life? All day, maybe 16 hours a day, in the food that you eat, in the places that you go to, in the people that you meet, in the sleep that you get, in the travels that you do, in everything. For the most part, even in the work that you do, isn't it that mental health is not really something that you might think one day to work on? You are always already working on it. And what I find the most surprising is people don't realize that. People think I need to someday, somehow, somewhere start to focus on my mental health. While in reality, in actuality, this is what they do 16 to 18 hours a day. In some ways, I say mental health is the most time-consuming portion of our life. While we do that, okay, and this is where my journey into mental health began. While people do that, they are really missing the mental health vocabulary. So when they work on their mental health on a day-to-day basis, when they prioritize things that they will do and things that they won't do, they are taking a choice which is usually a mental wellness-driven choice. While they do that, they don't have the right vocabulary for what is mental health. They also do not have the right tools on what they can do to make it more efficient. And number three, they don't have a framework within which they can progress in the work that they are doing. What we at Soul Wellness are excited and passionate about is to enable that. It is to provide people with that vocabulary. It is to provide people with the tools. It is to provide people with the framework. With that, let me jump into the next part of my presentation. Let's do one thing. Let's actually start with a very simple breathing exercise. Okay. And when I say simple, I simply want everybody to just inhale through their nose, stop, and then exhale through their mouth. Okay. And I will do, and you can do it with me. Inhale. Exhale. Just let's do it one more time. Inhale. Exhale. Let me ask a question. How many of you forgot about everything that was going on with you in your life, your troubles and everything for the 15 seconds that you were doing this breathing exercise? Just the 15 seconds that you were doing this breathing exercise. The response under most circumstances for most people is, well, you know what? For those 15 seconds, I thought of nothing else. For those 15 seconds, my head was turned off into doing something which was actually, what I usually define as working on my wellness. That's the power of mental wellness. And that's really the power of doing the basic stuff right. So while we go through this, okay, we will talk about a lot of basics that people already do and where people can utilize the vocabulary and the tools and the framework that we provide. So it makes it much more effective and gives you that level of control of mental wellness. For me, mental wellness is not about going for a counseling session, however acceptable in the society it becomes. It is not about going to a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist. It is about first starting to do the basics right, which is what everyone needs. And then take those next few steps as and when your situation requires those steps. But it starts at that fundamental basics for me. So let's celebrate together for the valuable work that every one of us in this workshop is doing. Now, an extremely important part of mental health, and this is where the journey kind of begins, it is always late. So if you are talking about your mental health today, you are a little late. However, it is never too late to talk about your mental health. You could have done better by talking about it yesterday or day before or the day before that, but it is never too late. So wherever you are, whatever you are doing, realizing how mental wellness can be incorporated as part of your life in a bigger and a known manner is the most critical and the most important aspect of what you would do. So I always ask people, have you ever worked on your mental health? And for 80 to 90% of my audience, the response is, I never have. However, as I said earlier, we all work through our mental health. We all work on ourselves, on our happiness, on our peace of mind, on a day-to-day basis. What we have done is we have fundamentally decomposed the entire mental wellness world into 5 adjectives. Okay, there are 3 negative adjectives and there are 2 positive adjectives. So the 3 negative adjectives that we talk about, that we all work on reducing, is number 1, sadness, number 2, loneliness, and number 3, stress. Okay, dukh, akelapan, tanav. That's the 3 adjectives that we all try to keep working to reduce. And the 2 adjectives that we keep on working to increase, happiness and peace of mind. In all my work around mental wellness, I haven't been able to come up with a 6th adjective or come up with a 6th emotion. This is where kind of everything encompasses itself. And that's really what it is all about. So let me ask, I mean, are people happy with their work life? In the current scenario, specifically as we have gone into more remote working, specifically as we have gone into more environment where we are not together as a team, specifically where the lines between work and life have blurred. While of course work-life balance is an amazingly fantastic thing, but as the lines have blurred, there is a lot more that is happening with people. A lot more that is happening with all of our work lives. We may have attained a little bit more balance by our ability to participate more in our life outside of work, but we have all lost a little bit more of our mental health. We have all become a little bit more stressed about things that we are doing. And factors that usually are leading to poor work-life balance. I mean, number one, procrastination. And we all do that. Number two, productivity or the lack thereof. Number three, peer pressure. And number four, finding it difficult to be your authentic self. In most circumstances, when I do a workshop in a corporate or in a group of people, most people do not start off with, I have a mental wellness issue or I need some help. What we usually do is when we do such workshops, which we won't be able to do in this remote session, when we do these workshops, there are a few counselors with us. So people won't have a mental health issue, but at the end of the workshop, nearly 20% or 25% people will stay because they want to talk to a counselor. So the challenge with most people is they cannot talk about their mental health in a forum. They can't talk about their mental health with people that they know. While it may seem obvious to many of us that you should talk about your mental wellness with people that you know, because they will be contextually be able to help you. They will know what to do. They will know your personality. The reality is people find it extremely difficult to talk about their mental health openly. And that's a huge challenge. And we'll talk about how can we get over that by empowering you, as I said earlier, to overcome these challenges. There definitely is. Let's talk about some of the tips to make our workplace happy. And this is extremely important, specifically for women, because they have a very different requirement for work-life balance. I mean, even with all the progressive environment that we have gotten to, women are still responsible or are still considered as being responsible for doing more at home. I have always had a fundamental, challenge with that. But that's still the reality of our society. While we keep talking about empowerment of women in the workplace, we do very little for empowerment for women in the household situations for the most part. There is some progress that happens there, but not enough all the time. And that is where this becomes extremely critical and important for women. Number one, have a self-care routine. Most of us, we get too engrossed, too involved in what goes on at our house and what goes on at our work and what goes on in our expanding and immediate families and all. We need to have, all of us, a self-care routine for ourselves. Number two, prioritize and delegate. And when I say prioritize and delegate, I am not talking about your work. I am talking more about your life. I am talking more also about your home and other aspects of responsibilities and all that you do. Prioritize and delegate. Third, be fully present and engaged everywhere. And this is where work-life balance becomes extremely important, which is where I think sometimes remote working becomes a challenge. Yeah, you are at home. Yeah, you are doing remote working, which means you have opportunity to have great work-life balance. But sometimes for many of us, specifically for us that are looking for growth and that are actually excited and passionate about our work, the blur between the line becomes extremely big. And there is, at times there is no line. So yeah, you are at home, but you are never out of your work. So yeah, you are there with your family, but you are never present and you are never engaged. So extremely important, be fully present and be engaged everywhere. Last, definitely not the least, openly communicate with your employer and communicate openly with your colleagues. Have a me time for everyone. One of the best ways, and I'm saying that as a man, what I have always found extremely beneficial is wake up early for some quiet time. I wake up at 5 in the morning, sometimes at 4:30. I do my exercise, yoga and all for 45-50 minutes. Before anybody in my house will wake up, I will make a tea for myself. I will have that tea. I will watch something, on TV, usually international news. I will do something else. By the time people will wake up, I will already have done all the self-care and everything, all the quiet time that I would need for myself, even before I step out of the house or even before I do anything else. Use your lunch break for relaxation or hobbies. What I have seen extremely amazing, specifically, I have seen this in China and some of the Southeast Asian countries. People would use lunch breaks for naps. In fact, there are offices I have gone to in China where they will turn all the lights off, turn all the computers off, and people will just lie head down on their desks to rest. So use lunch break for relaxation or use them for your hobbies. As I said earlier, share responsibilities, delegate tasks. Combine your self-care with other activities. Set boundaries and communicate your needs. And again, this is about the delegation that I was talking about earlier. Set the boundaries of what you will do at your work, at your home, at other places, and communicate the requirements that you have. Communicate it not just to people around you, but extremely important, communicate it to yourself. Include your children, include your family in the self-care activities that you do that really helps you bond well. Prioritize activities that recharge you. But while I was saying integrate or include your children, please do not make those activities about them. They are still your self-care. So look at them from your perspective. Utilize technology for convenient self-care options. And there is a lot, that is available these days. A lot of capabilities to do self-care. How you build resilience for yourself, set realistic goals, practice self-care. And this is, I'm talking about things that we normally know, but we normally are not able to practice. Maintain a sense of purpose, strength reflection, reflect and learn from your experiences. And with that, I want everyone, and I will stop for a minute. I want all of you to reflect on your personal strengths and your qualities. If anyone after this, 1 minute break, if anyone wants to actually speak out what they reflected upon and what they were able to find, that is great. But I do realize that in the mental health journey, people don't usually find the comfort to do that. So that is fine as well. But do reflect on your personal strengths and capabilities. I'm going to turn my video off for a minute. So does anyone want to share what they came up with? Okay. As I said earlier, as long as you have done it for, Damayanti, you want to say something? Okay, let me keep going. Let's do another exercise. I'm sure you have all played Never Have I Ever earlier in your lives. Sometimes in comfortable, exciting situations, sometimes in uncomfortable situations, but we have all played this game. Let's play it one more time here for our mental wellness. And think about this from a never have I ever. Been burdened by family expectations, had performance anxiety, had low self-esteem, had body image issues, uncertainty about future, career dilemmas, unhealthy competition, worrying about approval from our peer groups, and have faced harassment. We all go through this, right? I'm sure there is nobody who could even name one of these situations that they have not faced in their lives? Felt I can't function. So earlier we were talking about the situations here that you face. Here we are talking about the impact that would have on you. Felt I can't function. Felt alone in a room full of people. Talked to a stranger and felt amazing. Had self-esteem lower than the pits of hell. Felt misunderstood by family and friends. Felt like I was being judged. Had unshareable thoughts. Sobbed alone. Wanted someone to talk to. We all go through these, right? And on your right screen, you will see the various emotions that we feel on a day-to-day basis, on a regular basis. And hence starts what I call as the spiral down cycle of depression. It starts with us feeling sad and lonely. And then it proceeds further, and there is a point of time where we get dejected. And then we continuously get reinforcements of it, and it keeps on worsening. And there is a point of time that I call as, almost a point of no return, where we become hopeless. And from there, we get into the cycle of what we call as clinical depression. In my world, in all my experiences, all the research I have done, if we can empower people with the right kind of tools, with the right kind of solutions, they can escape out of this. They can escape out of this cycle of depression. So there are some very easy steps that we take on a day-to-day basis. Taking deep breaths, visiting your favorite place, doing a journal, listening to music, talking about it with people, practicing a hobby. These are things that we normally do in our lives, right? Now, there is stuff that we can do to be more, more empathetic, or to be more empowering to people around you. So helping out employees or helping out people around you in the workplace, providing them emotional support, doing workload collaboration, encouraging some self-care, standing against harassment. So let me now talk about how do we as Solh help you. As I said earlier, we are here to, one, provide you with the vocabulary, two, provide you with the tools, and three, provide you with the framework in which you can get mental wellness support. What we have done is we have created call it a comprehensive toolkit for everybody to get personalized help for their mental wellness. Our sincere belief is that there is no one-size-fits-all solution for mental wellness. All of us have our own specific, unique ways to get mental wellness help. We have created tools that we categorize into three parts. The first part is self-help tools, where we have various tools that you can use by yourself. And we will talk a little bit more about these tools in a minute. The second part is what I call as community support tools, wherein so self-help tools you will be able to use by yourself, for yourself. Community support tools you will be able to use working with the community at large. And then there are personalized services. Most of us, when we think mental wellness, we only think services. For us at Solh Wellness, the bigger part of mental health is actually the self-help tools and the community support tools. Let me first talk about the self-help tools. The first part of the self-help tool is the self-assessment portion. Actually, while I do that, or before I do that, I want to take a minute and I want to please request everyone if they can download the Solh Wellness application on their mobile phone. It is available on both the Android phone as well as the iOS App Store. So you can download the application because that will provide a lot more value to you in terms of understanding and in terms of being able to get that personalized help for yourself. So let me just stop for a minute and wait for everybody to be able to download. It takes almost a minute only. Okay, so let me move forward. For those who haven't downloaded, or that are still downloading, you can look at the application as I'm walking through, or maybe after this. So the first part of the tools that I was talking about are our self-help tools. And one of the most critical portion in self-help is self-assessment. We have created a series of industry standard tests that you can use for quick analysis and figure out where there is the need for expert intervention. They can be done on a variety of different areas. Currently, we have a test for stress, a test for happiness, a test for insomnia, a test for anger management, and so on and so forth. So you can take any of these tests and you can determine and screen and self-assess for yourself your current state. The second part is the mood analytic. This is probably one of my favorite tools. You can go into the Solh Wellness platform whenever you want, once every day, multiple times in a day, or once every alternate day, or however frequently you want to. The tool will ask you to provide your mood at that point of time and why you are feeling that way. And what the tool does is it keeps a history of it that you can look back upon. And I have seen multiple usages of it. One key usage, and I love talking about this particular portion. All of us have that aunt that we don't like. Assuming that aunt visits you for 3 or 4 days, and you are filling up your mood tracker on a daily basis on the Solh Wellness application. Well, one fine day you look back at your mood and you realize that those 4 days were the happiest days in that time period for you. Did you really hate that aunt? Alternately, for some of us, we are in long distance relationships, and assume that person visits you, or you go on a vacation with that person, or you do something else with that person. And then one fine day, you look at your mood tracker and you realize those were the worst mood days for you. Are you really in a healthy relationship? So the mood tracker tool really gives you insights about your personality, your life, and what all is going on with you, with your mood being the key equation in this. Next, for a lot of us, setting up milestones is extremely important. So in the Solh Wellness platform, we have an area where you can record and track your performance through goals. So you can pause, you can plan, you can proceed, you can measure, you can achieve. So keep a track of what is going on in terms of having certain milestones and what you are doing against them. Last but not the least, last in the self-help tools is read and learn. On an ongoing basis, we put up expert pieces, we put up blogs and information, we put up content, we put up videos through which you can learn about the world of mental wellness, learn about things that you can do, learn about what you could be practicing, and good quality content and information related to mental wellness. Next part of our tools is the community support tools. This is where you work with the community. Okay. One extremely therapeutic aspect of mental wellness is journaling. All experts say that for you to get help, for you to get wellness, you need to write it out for yourself. And that is journaling. We have created a capability on the platform where you can do a journal. It's a committed, non-judgmental, safe space. It also has nested conversations where you can participate in a journal that some other people have done and create and curate conversations. The second part of the community support tools is support groups. We have nearly 35 odd support groups that are currently present on the platform. Some of those have grown fairly significantly over the last some time. To give you an example, our stress support group has 1,300 plus members. Our depression and anxiety support group has 500 plus members. And then there are various other tools or various other support groups that we have within there that can be utilized by people for getting help in the specific area that you require help in. Number 3, while mental wellness, and I'm talking about journaling and support group, I understand the challenge, which is why Solh Wellness provides complete anonymity to everyone. While you are doing your journaling, while you are participating in support groups, you do not need to reveal your identity. The platform lets you have 2 profiles. One is your profile, and the second is an anonymous profile. So you can use that to do journaling support group. In fact, you can use that to do pretty much everything on the platform. And then there is a social networking capability here. In some ways, you could look at the journaling and the soul buddy, the social networking capability, and think of it like an Instagram. However, there are three fundamental differences between us and Instagram. Other than the fact that they have shitload of money and we don't. Well, one key difference is we are a committed mental health space. So the conversations are very much within the mental wellness world. Number two, here people do not talk about or do not share, the food that they don't eat, the life that they don't live, the people that they don't meet, the places that they don't go to, the dresses that they don't wear. Here, people talk about their real lives. So it is a place that is not meant to, give you depression by itself. It's a place that helps you create yourself, that helps you get the help that you require. So that's really, why the Soul Wellness platform in its journaling, in its social networking helps a lot of people. Next, professional services. So in professional services, the first part is you can identify yourself by kind of the area of support that you require in, or you can simply come and search for a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist or a psychologist or a counselor. Number two, we very strongly believe that people get mental wellness by working with the stimuli that they have. For some people, it could be yoga. For some, it will be meditation or art or music or dance or reflexology or spiritual or occult sciences or something else. We provide support to people using allied therapies. We also have a capability where, for example, if you are feeling overwhelmed with your emotions right now, you can simply go to the platform and the first option it gives you is Talk Now, where you can click and you can talk to a soul counselor right away. Last but not the least are the packages and solutions, where the various providers put in their own packages, which are available for both B2B as well as for B2C. Now, one important aspect of what we have done as a platform is our self-support tools. So our self-help tools and our community support tools are free for every consumer. And I'm not saying there is a freemium model in which we are not, or there is an introductory offer in which we are not charging anything today. For a consumer, our self-help tools and our community support tools will always be free. Our professional services, of course, you will pay for a professional service if you are charging or if you are doing something where you are, taking a service from us. Also, we do provide certain packages for educational institutes, for corporates, or for other kinds of community groups. It could be a government, or it could be a hospital, or it could be some other organization that is requiring mental wellness support. So, as I was saying earlier, mental health at this point of time, for all the reasons of change, and I really look at mental wellness as a four-folded exercise. Number one, it's being worsened by climate change. Number two, by conformity, which is a huge problem specifically for women, trying to conform with themselves and their expectations from themselves, or trying to conform with the other people's expectations from them. Number three, contagion. And we all saw this happen specifically with COVID, where we saw there was a lot of problems with people going into isolation, with people going into lockdowns, and more importantly, people worrying about their health. Last but definitely not the least, conflict. Conflict could be an internal or an external conflict that you have, or conflict could go all the way to a war or worsening situations that we see all around us. So it is an extremely, extremely important aspect that we empower ourselves with this vocabulary of mental health, with the various tools for mental health, and develop a framework for ourselves to get support where and when needed and be there. If we do this, my promise and my challenge to you is we will all be able to become a better version for ourselves. We will all be able to get help where and whatever we require. And that's really what it is all about. So I want, if people have any questions, any clarifications, anything they want to know, the floor is now open and you can ask. So, Damayanti, you there?
Yeah.
I guess if there are no questions in the audience, and you can come to the Solh platform or go to our social handles and ask any question that you have anytime. As I was saying, there is a Solh counselor option, talk now, which is available right upfront on the platform when you come in. It's the first option at the top of the platform. You can go there and ask whatever queries you have or whatever challenges you are facing. I understand it's difficult to talk about your mental health, which is why usually a lot of people do not, turn on and ask. But the help is there for you in a very quiet, in a very safe space, in a very anonymous environment, if you desire to. So Damayanti, with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much, Kapil. And I'm sure the women here will find something useful out of it and a good takeaway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, members, for joining and coming in.
Thank you, Kapil, for a very enlightening session. It was really nice. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Damayanti, for having it aligned.
Thank you.
If any of you, just one last thing, if any of you think there is value or there is, such kind of a workshop that you would like to conduct in your institutes, in your organizations, in the places that you work, we are more than happy to do these workshops. We do not charge for these workshops. They are done free of charge. So if anyone thinks there is value somewhere, please do contact the Solh Wellness team and we will be very happy to get it scheduled or get it coordinated to where you are. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for your time.